up by 30%, according to Verbo. And in Florida, realtors down there tell us that some properties are fetching about double than what they used to. So, Stuart, you mentioned in your intro just a moment ago, a lot of this demand is driven by people that are trying to get vacations, but limited inventory because people that own the homes are staying in them because now we can work from virtually anywhere.
I never thought of that, but you're right. You're right. If you own the home, you might not be renting it out because you're staying there. Hey, Lydia, good stuff. Thanks very much indeed, Lydia.
Exactly.
Who? On the beach today. Thanks very much. Still ahead on this program, Tammy Bruce, Jason Rance, Steve Hilton, and the governor of Alaska, Mike Dunleavy. Get ready for the government to be all over you if President Biden's green push makes it across the finish line. You're going to love it. It's the theme of my take, which is next.
Catches Leonard with a big left.
You can spend your life in boxing.
One reason why I like this channel, the only one, is they normally have
One day, you're gonna
the
take
price
a
of
hit
silver.
you
They're
didn't
like
see coming.
fiends. It's
And it won't matter what
Republicans
hit you.
channel. So
What matters is
you
you're
know how it
down.
is.
Easy. She can even pick her payment plan, so it's easy on her budget.
CNBC.
At Calvert, we know responsible investing
I like
is hard.
Jim Cramer,
If you're concerned about the environment and climate change, how do you
but
find companies
some
that
of
are
these
driving
guys
the
in
right
this
outcomes?
channel are
If you
complete
care about
idiots
economic
with zero
equality
vision
and social justice,
and
which
just
firms are addressing it
haters,
in their
Tesla
workplaces
haters.
and
But
their communities? For nearly 40
probably got
years,
their money-
Calvert has
their
delivered competitive returns
what's it
by
called?
investing in companies making a difference.
I got deals
Because
with
we see value in doing good.
big oil too.
For more information,
This is
Transmission over
this is my go-to here
3,000, and an
normally,
engine over $4,000.
but YouTube is the best. I say.
I always recommend my customers have an auto protection plan. Endurance has been putting money back in Americans' pockets for nearly 2 decades, and their plans are crafted by real auto experts like me.
If you
And
break down, just choose the local repair shop you trust.
This is about
Endurance pays
folks.
them.
generations, and the fulfillment of the SDGs. Moving forward, with the aim of addressing a range of social issues, the company hopes to continue its transformation to explore as many new fields as possible. This program was made possible by Toyo Aluminum.
Wow, beautiful, huh?
JIB TV.
What? There we go. NHK World Japan.
Glad to be with us on this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Raja Pradhan with the news from Tokyo. We start here in Japan, where the Prime Minister has declared the country's third state of emergency of the pandemic to contain rising coronavirus cases. The measure will take effect in Tokyo and 3 western prefectures on Sunday.
大都市における感染拡大が
We're concerned that the current surge in the major cities could spread across the country. Amid these circumstances, I decided to declare a state of emergency again ahead of a week-long holiday.
多くの人々が
We need to contain the spread of the virus by focusing on intensive measures over a short period of time.
集中して実施をすることによりウイルスの勢いを抑え込む必要がある。
The declaration covers Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, and Hyogo prefectures. It'll remain in effect for just over 2 weeks through May 11th. Governors will be allowed to take tougher measures, although they won't be as strict as a lockdown. They're asking bars and restaurants that serve alcohol or offer karaoke to close. Other eateries will be asked to close at 8 p.m. Trains, subway, and bus services will be reduced with shorter operating hours. Shopping malls and department stores will also be asked to close, except for daily essentials. Suga apologized for the inconvenience and promised financial support for businesses that'll be affected. Now, Osaka Prefecture is the largest hotspot. Its daily tally has now topped 1,000 for 4 days in a row.
The state of emergency will be a huge burden on social and economic activity, but the spread of infections and the state of the medical system are extremely serious. I want to stop the surge and overcome the crisis.
And in Tokyo, the governor said while the tougher restrictions will be more of a burden, they're necessary.
If each one of us can start taking stricter measures today, the situation will get better in 10 days to 2 weeks.
The capital will host the Olympics in 3 months. Journalists repeatedly asked the prime minister about the possibility of canceling the games.
IOC が権限を持っております。
The International Olympic Committee has the authority to decide. The IOC has already decided to hold the Tokyo Games, and that has been approved by the national committees of member countries.
Suga said his government will cooperate with the IOC and the Tokyo metropolitan government to realize a safe and secure games. Across the country, over 5,000 new infections were reported on Friday, and more than 800 patients are in serious condition. Now, authorities in India confirmed more than 330,000 new cases on Friday, marking the world's highest single-day tally. The country also reported over 2,200 deaths. As infections surge, medical workers are struggling with an oxygen shortage crisis. Hospitals in New Delhi are pleading for oxygen tanks, saying they'll run out in hours. The government cut production of industrial oxygen to ensure hospitals have sufficient supplies. But the spread of infections is outpacing the effort. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has ordered officials to boost oxygen production. Earlier this week, relatives of coronavirus patients looted oxygen tanks from a hospital in the central state of Madhya Pradesh. Experts attribute the surge in cases to a new variant first detected in India. They say it's believed to be highly contagious.
It's perfect like lock and key because it attaches perfectly well. The infectiousness seems to be faster.
Britain, Canada, and Singapore have banned entry from India. Leaders from the Association of Southeast Asian Nations will meet in Indonesia on Saturday to discuss the crisis in Myanmar. They'll see whether ASEAN can send a united message urging Myanmar's military to resolve the situation. The meeting in Jakarta is happening about a month after Indonesia's president called on members to discuss the crisis. Several delegates from countries including Vietnam arrived on Friday. Myanmar's military leader, Senior General Min Aung Hlaing, is due to attend. The National Unity Government, formed by a group of ousted lawmakers, is asking ASEAN to recognize it as the legitimate authority in Myanmar. Sources say
10-minute
ASEAN
long
hopes
video.
to
Should I make
mediate
it?
between
Leave a
Myanmar's
comment if you
military and the
think
National
this is
Unity
good amount of
Government,
time frame.
paving the way for dialogue to break the
NHK
deadlock.
Newsline channel.
Now, the UN Special Envoy for Myanmar,
Smash that like button.
Christine Schraner Bergner, is in Jakarta. She met
Subscribe
with
if you
Indonesia's
haven't.
foreign minister to
Yeah,
discuss
hit
the
the bell,
situation.
get notified,
The
and
UN
leave
says
a comment.
the envoy is
Good
seeking
positive
dialogue
one
with all parties
about that.
and has been in contact
And,
with Myanmar's military. Meanwhile, the Japanese
leave a
embassy
flag
in
of
Myanmar
Japan or
says
say
it's
something.
confirmed the health
Let's
of
see,
Kitazumi
give you a
Yuki,
code.
Japanese journalist detained by the
Put
military.
in
Japan's ambassador
I'm the
to
reason
Myanmar
you
spoke
smiled
with
today
Kitazumi on Friday
in the comments,
by phone.
and first
The
one who
embassy
does it
quotes Kitazumi
gets a prize.
as saying he has no physical problems and suffered no violence.
Smash that like,
Kitazumi was
subscribe,
taken away by security
hit the bell,
personnel on Sunday and
comment,
detained for allegedly
and share.
spreading
Oh yes,
misinformation.
share as much as
Embassy
possible.
officials say they'll
My
continue to
videos,
demand
appreciate
his
the
release.
support back to you. Make it 11 minutes exactly. Yes.
A spacecraft with 4 astronauts on board, including
I'm sorry.
Japanese veteran Hoshide Akihiko, is on its way to the International Space Station. The mission is the first manned flight involving a reusable rocket and capsule developed by U.S. firm SpaceX.
3, 2, 1, 0. Mission and liftoff. Godspeed.
The Crew Dragon was launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida on Friday at 5:49 a.m. local time. The launch was postponed by 1 day due to bad weather. The Crew Dragon capsule and its rocket were developed under a contract with U.S. Space Agency, NASA. Both parts are designed to be reused. About 12 minutes after liftoff, the capsule detached from the rocket after reaching orbit. Hoshide will assume the post of commander of the International Space Station, responsible for its overall operation and the crew's safety. This is the 52-year-old's third trip to the ISS.
I am blessed with a well-experienced crew. As a commander, I will hold the crew together as a team and lead the mission to a successful end in cooperation with the ground staff.
Japanese astronaut Noguchi Soichi, who's been on the ISS since last November, tweeted he watched the launch and is looking forward to their visit. Hoshide and the other 3 astronauts are expected to arrive at the ISS on Saturday and will stay there for about 6 months. Japan's Ground Self-Defense Force is set to conduct joint exercises in southwestern Japan with the French Army and the U.S. Marine Corps next month. It'll mark the first time the GSDF and the French Army hold drills together in Japan.
France is the only European country with a remaining military presence in the Indo-Pacific region. It also shares the vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific with our country.
Defense Ministry officials say the GSDF's Amphibious Brigade will take part in the drills. It specializes in coastal landing operations, which could be necessary if Japan's remote islands were invaded. Officials said participants from each country will go over the procedures for landing operations. The drills will use SDF helicopters and the U.S. Marines' Osprey tilt-rotor aircraft. The French Army has experience in anti-terrorism warfare, so the participants also plan to practice forced entry into buildings. Some observers believe the exercises are aimed at demonstrating Japan's cooperation with multiple countries in light of China's increasing maritime assertiveness. In other news, a Japanese university student leader has expressed her view on the government's new target for cutting greenhouse gas emissions. It comes as world leaders discuss how to tackle climate change in an online summit from Thursday hosted by U.S. President Joe Biden. Nakamura Suzuka is a member of the Fridays for Future movement. She spoke at a lower house committee meeting on Friday, attending as an observer. The movement spread among young people worldwide after Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg rose to international fame. On Thursday, Japanese Prime Minister Suga announced the nation's new target of cutting emissions by 46% by 2030 from 2013 levels. But Nakamura said the Prime Minister didn't provide any scientific evidence in announcing the target. She said it won't do enough to protect people's lives.
We need a system that reflects stakeholders' views in a fair way while informing them. There are many complex aspects to tackling climate change. Measures should be worked out based on dialogue rather than on the opinions of certain people.
Another person who attended the meeting was Professor Takamura Yukari from the University of Tokyo's Institute for Future Initiatives.
Japanese society will have to change drastically to achieve the new target. It is very important for the government to create a path toward carbon neutrality from a long-term perspective.
Takamura stressed long-term thinking was critical for the government to come up with a clear plan for a carbon-free society by the year 2050. Now, Japan's Honda Motor is trying to steer toward a greener future. It wants all the vehicles it sells to be electric or fuel cell driven by 2040. New President Mide Toshihiro unveiled the plan at his inaugural news conference. It means Honda is the first Japanese automaker to aim for a complete turn away from gasoline-powered vehicles, including hybrids. The company expects to invest about $46 billion on its research and development over the next 6 years. As part of its drive to cleaner vehicles, Honda will launch a new EV model targeting Japanese demand for smaller cars by 2024. Other Japanese car manufacturers are also revving up their electric fleets. Earlier this week, Toyota announced plans to more than double its EV models to 15 by 2025. Next, we're looking at some changes to Japan's weather pattern as we head into the weekend. Our meteorologist John Sono has the forecast in our World Weather Report.
Hello, looks like that we're going to be dealing with some rain as we head toward the latter part of the week for the eastern areas of Japan. We have one system moving in from the west with an increase in cloud cover, but we have another one that will be dropping in from the north, and that's going to be the primary reason why we see the rain. We go into the forecast for the next couple of days, notice that front dropping through, and by Sunday we'll be seeing that chance for some rain. Wet weather in Sapporo as well, and notice the temperature is really dropping off down to the single digits on Monday in Sapporo and into the upper teens in Tokyo on Monday. So yeah, we're definitely seeing this cooling trend here. That's also applying to other areas of Japan over toward the west. And so in general, we're going to be going a little bit cooler as we go into the first part of next week. Meanwhile, down to the southern areas of the United States, we're keeping an eye out on a low pressure system that's developing across Texas and moving into the deep south. The Mississippi River Valley will be dealing with a particular concern when it comes to strong, severe thunderstorms. Strong winds will be a big part of that story, but that's not going to be the end of the story. That low will have to cross over into the Carolinas as we go into Saturday, so we do have a risk for severe thunderstorms for the next couple of days. And then we'll see that system finally clearing out. Looking at the forecast here for Saturday, thunderstorms from Oklahoma City into Atlanta, even into D.C. We're looking at some rain, and things back toward the north, a little bit calmer as we go through Saturday. Over into Chino Hills, looking at cloudy skies, a high of 18 degrees. But if you go there, you'll take a look at this type of scene. It's quite beautiful as visitors to the state park there were able to enjoy hillsides carpeted in yellow mustard Wednesday. About 60% of the park currently covered in the bright yellow flower, which grows to around 3 meters tall. The bloom could last into June or maybe even July before drying out and losing its color. A large area of this park was scorched by a wildfire back in October 2020, but it's looking beautiful now. That's a look at your forecast. Hope you have a wonderful weekend wherever you are.
And I even love the music, the weather forecast.
And that wraps up this edition of NHK Newsline. I'm Roger Pradan in Tokyo. Thanks for joining us.
I'll wrap it at 20 minutes. That was the best newscast ever, I think. See, perhaps.
Welcome to Newsline In Depth. I'm Shibuya Aki. Robot vacuums, GPS,
voice assistants. AI technology is everywhere. While the US and China are the major players in the field, Japan is using the cutting-edge technology to develop specialized products. On today's In-Depth,
Smash the like,
we look at how artificial
subscribe,
intelligence
hit
is
the bell,
being adapted to deal
comment,
with the country's
and
massive
share.
labor shortages, even in niche areas of business. Our first story is about fish connoisseurs. These wholesalers are irreplaceable due to their lengthy and intensive training. Now AI technology is stepping into the fish markets and measuring up.
Most professional fish buyers judge the quality of a tuna by examining a cross-section of its tail. A variety of factors, including minor differences in color and fat content, are used to determine the taste, texture, and freshness of each fish. Industry experts say it takes a minimum of 10 years of training to be able to properly grade tuna fish.
So good, I'm sorry.
In recent years, however, an aging population and a shortage of new workers coming into the industry has resulted in a decline in the number of these skilled workers. The man spearheading the project to solve this issue is Shimura Kazuhiro. His team has developed a smartphone app called TunaScope that uses AI technology to assess the quality of tuna fish. The app can analyze a photo of a tuna tail section in just 2 seconds. It then provides the user with a ranking: A for excellent, B for good, and M for average. The new app allows anyone with a smartphone to instantly become capable of grading tuna like an expert.
Judging fish quality comes down to sense or feeling. So many experts can't put into words what exactly it is that they look at when examining a fish tail. But I thought if we can use image analysis technology, maybe AI can figure out what it is that those trained eyes are looking at.
To do that, the development team loaded over 10,000 images of tuna tail sections, an amount equivalent to several years' worth of fish examining experience, into their software. The system implements deep learning to make correlations between the input images and the quality each was assigned by tuna experts. The result? Based on the analysis of a single photo of a tuna tail, the app was able to provide the same quality assessment as professional fish buyers over 90% of the time. With its accuracy confirmed, the app's already been put to use in actual buying situations. This Japan-based sushi chain began using it to select and purchase tuna in the summer of 2020. Currently, it only offers customers tuna that was given an A grade by the software. The company's buyers usually make a majority of their purchases from fish markets located in China. However, when the pandemic hit, travel restrictions prevented them from going abroad to make purchases. That's when the chain decided to try using the TunaScope software to purchase product from a fish market in the Chinese port city of Dalian.
It's so nice to be able to reliably select and purchase quality tuna without having to send buyers overseas. So far, the tuna has been up to our high standards, and it's even earned praise from our customers.
To protect the global tuna population, there are international restrictions placed on the amount of fish that can be caught annually. The TunaScope development team hopes that its app will be used by buyers from other countries, so that tuna caught around the world can be bought and sold at fair prices.
Globally, most tuna is treated on the basis of weight, and I feel that the concept of quality is not given much importance. I believe that by using technology to properly measure quality, we can better allocate and sell the limited resources of tuna that we have.
This chart classifies tuna consumption by market. In 2018, nearly 80% went into canned and processed products. But the consumption of raw tuna has been on the rise around the world for several years, and the demand for the premium stuff keeps going up. the director of TunaScope is working to get across the message that with tuna stocks depleting and fish quota restrictions increasing, distinguishing grades will become ever more critical. Rather than going by weight alone for mass canning, he wants all the fish to be priced by quality. That way, the best can be saved for delicacies like sushi. And he thinks his app offers one of the best ways to do just that. Next, we visit a driving school that's overcoming a shortage of instructors by using AI to teach students to drive.
In Japan, most people attend private driving schools to learn the rules of the road and proper driving techniques before testing for their driver's license. However, having to sit side by side with an instructor in a cramped car during the pandemic has become a major issue for many students and employees.
That's funny.
One driving school has addressed that issue by switching from human instructors to an AI-based electronic teaching system.
Sorry, girl. I'll teach you how to drive Mack truck.
Sensors attached to the roof of the car keep the system aware of the vehicle's exact location on a closed driving course. This data, combined with highly detailed map information, allow it to track and analyze the speed and driving behavior of each student in real time. The system can even automatically apply the brakes to help the student avoid hitting an obstacle, just as a human instructor would. Cameras mounted inside the cabin monitor body and eye movement to ensure that the driver is practicing safe driving techniques. When the course is completed, the driver's skills are evaluated on a 5-level scale, ranging from A to E. A playback option allows students to review their performance and see where any mistakes were made, like here where the driver failed to stop properly. Since the system can show them the car's position on the course down to within a few centimeters, it really helps students to have a clear understanding of exactly how they drove. The driving instruction system was created by Tier 4, a Japanese venture that specializes in autonomous driving technology. Its software is currently being used by nearly 300 different companies around the world. It's even being used by Toyota for the self-driving vehicles it's providing to transport athletes during the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games. Surprisingly, Tier 4 has made its autonomous driving software, called AutoWare, available as open-source software. This means organizations around the world can freely use it for research and development purposes. So what does the company get in return for the free use of its software? Its researchers benefit from the variety of data and feedback they get from a range of different users around the world.
When compared with huge IT companies, we just can't compete with the funds and resources they have. There's no way we can stand up to those giants without the help and support of others. I think that by using the data we get from the users of our open source software, that our autonomous driving technology has a good chance to not only survive, but to compete even on the global stage.
Our final story features a company that uses AI to analyze online meetings as a way for colleagues to cultivate and improve relationships, and it's even raising productivity.
Workers at a Tokyo-based company are testing some software in an online meeting. One of them is giving a presentation. As he talks, the software monitors the expressions of his co-workers and renders them as easy to read facial icons. It also shows how enthusiastically they react to different parts of the talk.
Normally in online meetings, it's hard to tell when people are paying more attention. We heard it was causing problems for some firms, so we started to trial this.
The software runs on artificial intelligence from a U.S. firm that processed facial data from over 9 million people. The AI judges muscle movement to identify feelings.
It's great if people can feel like they're sitting right next to each other.
Staff at this company help small and mid-sized firms market their products. The pandemic has forced them to do most of their work over the phone. They get help from an AI-based system that assesses speech patterns to determine how someone is feeling. The system transcribes the conversations and provides a host of useful data, such as the number of times that speech overlapped and variations in tone and speed.
The part in blue is us.
The firm analyzed the speaking to listening ratio of its top rep. It turns out the best results are achieved when the rep speaks 60% of the time and listens for 40%.
We can't connect with customers if we just carry on and on with our sales pitch. It's important to balance that with listening.
The sales reps applied this lesson to their work and nearly doubled their overall results in the space of a year. The abrupt shift to working from home is leaving some workers feeling isolated and unproductive. But, as with all hurdles, technology is rising to the challenge.
Being aware of your environment and social intricacies are valuable skills everywhere in the world. In Japan, where communication can be indirect, you could say they're even indispensable. The phrase kuki o yomu, or reading the air, says it all. It means understanding a situation without using words. The app we saw, which analyzes facial expressions, alludes to the cultural importance of reading the air. It can make or break business transactions. In Japan, AI technology is being adapted to resolve diverse and sometimes complex social issues. Creating innovative products based on these distinctive needs may even give Japan an edge in the world market. And that's it for this edition of Newsline in Depth. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.
Choice of the day. J Arena. We look back at the history of Japan's ski jump team. Cool Japan. Get a taste of the global appeal of Shojin Ryori, or Buddhist cuisine. Rising. We follow an entrepreneur who is addressing staff shortages in Japan's food service sector with cutting-edge robots.